Jason, could you tell me some of the things about these soil types that farmers should know?
Sure, we're going to be looking at these different profiles here and mainly looking at a couple different things here. Look at the color differences that we have here is going to be an indicator of the organic matter content in the soil. And we're going to be looking at various areas where the calcium carbonates come up, and we'll be using a hydrochloric acid solution to look at that. And we're also going to be looking at some areas that are impacted by salts on that far right one. Okay.
So that's what those white streaks are, the salts there?
Yep, it's going to be a combination of probably calcium and sulfur. And we'll actually take this acid bottle and put it over the soil core. You can see that fizz in there, so that's telling us that there's some salts in there. And you can also see after the soil profile is dried out where those salt concentrations are at. And if I put an acid bottle right on one of those, it should fizz. Now, what this acid also, this hydrochloric acid also indicates are going to be where your topsoil ends and where your subsoil starts. So if we look at this second core here, you can see it's going to start fizzing or keep fizzing here until we run out of the calcium carbonates. And it's right about there. So we have about 16 to 18 inches of good dark topsoil there. Going to be high in organic matter content. And in this one, we're actually going to have organic matter levels higher throughout the soil profile for at least the top 3 feet. And then we start running into calcium carbonate. So this is going to be a very good high producing soil in South Dakota. This third one over here is going to be one that's taken from an eroded knob. And we'll start with the calcium carbonates. And we'll see where we run out. So about 6 to 8 inches down is where we ran out of calcium carbonates. So that's going to be very clear that that site has been eroded over the years, and we lost a lot of our topsoil, and that's going to definitely impact nutrient content of that soil for future crop production. Our fourth soil that we have here is going to be a clay pan soil, and you can see that the clay pan is starting to occur about 12 inches down approximately. You can see the sodium in there, and now it's extremely difficult to actually tell it's sodium versus calcium carbonate, so a soil test would be needed to verify that it is sodium. But that is going to be very limiting to crop production, particularly corn, beans, and sunflowers. Wheat, winter wheat specifically, where a lot of the time when it's grown, we're getting moisture early in the season, so we're able to maintain some wheat yields on some of these clay pans soils. But if that clay pan would happen to occur deeper in the profile, we're going to have a lot better chance as far as crop production of some of our warm season crops, such as corn and sunflower.
Is there anything on, say, like this soil at the far right where you have some salts creeping up, but they aren't at the top yet, that can be done management-wise to make sure those salts don't invade the top layer of the topsoil?
Sure. From a management standpoint, wheat is still going to do okay in this ground. You're going to see some impacts to corn yields and to soybean yields, so you're going to want to obviously have wheat in the rotation, and if you have wheat, you're going to want to use the water more throughout the year with the use of cover crops. You're going to want to include definitely some cover crops in there that's going to handle some of these saline areas, and there are a number of species out there that will tolerate these salts. But again, you can see where they're starting to occur. I mean, they're starting to creep up, and you can see these white areas here. This soil actually used to be as good as this soil over here. And through our wet years and through annual cropping over those years, it's allowed some of these salts to migrate upwards. Now, with the cooperation with Mother Nature and timely rains, basically when we need it, so that corn plant or that wheat plant is actually using water, drawing that moisture profile down in the soil, and then with timely rains, it will leach those salts deeper down in the profile, slowly reclaiming this area back.
If you were going to tile a hard pan soil, would that benefit these hard pan soils where there's a hard pan layer in them?
It really depends on where that clay pan layer is at. If that clay pan layer is very near to the surface like that, generally not. That water's not going to be able to penetrate that clay pan area to get down to the tile line, so it would be useless to tile those areas. Now, if the clay pan happened to occur deeper into that soil profile, there could be certain fields could be tiled to a certain degree that would remove that. But basically, what a clay pan is doing, it's creating a temporary or a sub-irrigated effect on crops, and depending on where that clay pan is at in that profile, would indicate of whether or not crop yields are going to be hampered by excess moisture or not.